Hey everyone, Ryan here, and today we have our first official looks at 3 new summer 2024 LEGO Star Wars sets. All 3 of these should be releasing on August 1st, both in America and worldwide, and we have pricing and part count information throughout the video. So we'll start with the set that we have the least amount of pictures and therefore information on, and that is the Droid Factory set. It leaked from this little pre-order advertisement that I believe is in a Target store, and you can see the R2-D2, the pink R2-D2, which might have a name, the Chopper, and then the Imperial Astromech droids. So we're getting 4 Astromech droids in a $100 set, and yeah, on its face, this looks like a ridiculous proposition of value. However, it's actually supposed to include more parts to give these Astromech droids like real accessories and changes to their design, like top hats or glasses or a bow tie, things like that. There's supposed to be more to this set, so while on its face, like for the Astromech droids themselves, no, I don't think this is worth buying for $100. I don't think these look particularly good for $100. It's not a particularly hot take, just using the eye test there. However, there is more to this set than meets the eye that might maybe make it worth $100 for you. It is definitely more fun than, a normal LEGO Star Wars set. So there's a lot more to this. We just don't know everything yet. So we will see very, very soon with this one whenever it actually goes up for pre-order. But, as of now, that hasn't happened. So we just have this picture. So mid-set as is, but potential to be better, but I still think hit too much shoulder day. Like those look a bit ridiculous on the side of the droids there. Our other 2 sets are much more exciting as they come from the new Rebuild the Galaxy special for LEGO Star Wars, and this seems like it's going to be a really great show. It's something I'm very excited for. Of course, it's supposed to feature Jedi Bob very heavily, and so I think a lot of us are excited for it on that front, and we have 2 of the 3 sets for this show today. Unfortunately, the one set we don't see yet is Jedi Bob Starfighter, but we'll start with the 75393 TIE Fighter and X-Wing mashup. This has 1,063 pieces and costs $110 in the US. If we compare that to the most recent TIE Fighter and X-Wing sets, they were $45 and $50. So that's a $15 price increase for, we're getting less minifigures with the 2 sets mashed together. So if you had bought the sets separately when they were $95, I believe you would have gotten 7 minifigures versus the 5 that you get here. So that's a reduction in value. And then the design is also similar, but the X-Wing looks like it's more beefy than the previous X-Wing. It's hard to compare. So I think on the minifigure front, this set is less worth it, but I think the ships themselves look okay. The TIE Fighter wings look about the same as the TIE Fighter that we had previously in 2021, but the cockpit has seen some major changes and potentially upgrades for many people. We see the windscreen piece much smaller than it has been on more recent TIE Fighters, and this has allowed them to include that gray bezel. There is one part I'm pretty concerned about, but because some of these images are just so blurry, I can't really tell what the top of the TIE Fighter exactly looks like, but it looks like it's not as nicely rounded off as we have seen with some of the more recent previous models. So that's something we'll have to wait and see with better pictures, but it definitely is an area of concern with me. Otherwise, I think the TIE Fighter is just fine. It's whatever. It's never going to be the best TIE Fighter ever because we had that in 2018. And so, yeah, this is just not going to match up to that as part of this 2-in-1 set. The X-Wing is also decent looking, although I will say the landing gear is really funky looking to me. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why, it is the way that it is, but it looks really weird. I think anyone will look at it and think the same thing. The design of this thing otherwise, like color blocking, is quite interesting. It seems to be a different color scheme than some of the Luke X-Wings that we have had, so I like that it is a bit different compared to, many of the other playset X-Wings that we've had in their own set. It's just not going to be as good as that. The reason some of these compromises are made and the design is not as good as, the previous TIE Fighters, previous X-Wings, is because the basic idea between this set is that you can take the X-Wing, you can take the TIE Fighter, and you can mash them together to create basically LEGO Star Wars uglies. And I think that's a really great aspect of the set as it pertains to being a playset for kids. I think it's going to really, really, really excel at that as a collector's piece for collectors to put on a shelf. This just is not going to be that set at all whatsoever. There are just better versions of TIE Fighters and X-Wings that we've had in previous years. So that's just kind of the, straightforward outlook on this set. I don't think it's worth the $100. $110 given what the previous sets cost. I'm just personally not seeing the added value there. We're not even getting a TIE pilot with arm printing like we saw in the UCS TIE Interceptor, so that's quite interesting. The Rebel pilot interests me. I think he looks good. I think L3GO is a pretty cool astromech droid. It looks, like the Lego brand colors, which is quite neat. However, many people are likening it to the McDonald's logo instead. So I'm all for the McDonald's astromech droid. When I first saw it, I thought mustard and ketchup. But yeah, it looks like it was actually made to be the Lego colors. The other figures in this set are characters that are in the show with Yessi Scala and Sig Griebling. The Scala last name may be an old Lego theme reference, although it's something very few people would pick up on, so it might just be the name they came up with, but it does happen to also be the name of an old Lego theme that I know of, so I'm pretty sure that's why they would make it that.
The only thing worse than talking about Scala is, I guess, watching the video on it.
And then Sig Griebling. Griebling is like a technique that you use in mock building. Don't ask me how I know that, because I don't build mocks, clearly, but it is a technique that you use in mock building. The final set of the three here, in my opinion, has definitely stolen the show with the 75389, the Dark Falcon. It has 1,579 pieces, and it costs $180. These Millennium Falcons have been getting incrementally more and more expensive, certainly over the years. The last Millennium Falcon currently costs $170, and I think it should be retiring very soon if it hasn't retired already, because it's kind of redundant. I know the color scheme's a bit different, but they're still both Millennium Falcons, about the same size at the end of the day. This one does have over 200 more pieces for that extra $10. Where those 200 extra pieces come from, I don't really know. I don't know if they're just using smaller pieces on the inside or if there's something to that. Now, while the piece count has been buffed up, the figure count is down. We had 7 characters in the last Falcon, but only 6 here. And at $180, man, every time with these Star Wars sets, it gets me. Only getting 6 minifigures for $180 is just crazy. I mean, there's Harry Potter sets out there, like 120, I feel like, in the last couple years, that get 13 figures, 12 figures, so 6 is just never going to cut it for me with Lego Star Wars at $180. I will always complain about that, and I'm doing it here. But the figures themselves are still very good and very cool, regardless of the number of them. And so we'll dive into them first, because I think they are really, really exciting on this set. We'll start with Beach Luke, who frankly is giving me the Big Lebowski vibes. I really like Beach Luke here. I really don't understand why his blue milk carton is not printed, though. Again, $180 set. We're just missing small things like that. I don't really know why, but Beach Luke looks very nice. Looks like he's wearing sandals and stuff, so I think that's a great character. We also have Jedi Vader. Some people may call him Redeemed Vader, but it's the white Darth Vader. Looks pretty cool. Has even arm printing, which is kind of surprising to me. Not going to have the blue in the eyes there, and I think that was kind of my make or break for this being a great figure. It's a good figure. It's a fine figure, but I don't think I'll ever consider it a great all-timer figure, because it's just missing that added detail that it really needed to have there. Like, Lego Star Wars for years has been kind of touring with the idea of having the print on the eyes for Darth Vader. They've kind of advertised it slightly as such with those Kenobi sets, but it has never come to fruition, and there was no better time to bring it to fruition than now. And yeah, it's an opportunity passed up, clearly. The face underneath, by the way, I think we've had some factory leaks, although we're not going to see it in these images. It's the face of the Darth Vader from the original runs of Return of the Jedi, which is really cool too. So I think that makes that figure, extra good, but still just not an all-timer figure to me, because you're just missing the extra detail. Next, we have Bounty Hunter C-3PO, which is an interesting name. I thought they were going to call him Dark Side C-3PO or Evil C-3PO, but they went with Bounty Hunter C-3PO. He's got the red eyes, though, the black arm, and no dual molded legs. So again, 6 figures, and we're not getting like the extra mile of detail on 3 figures in a row here that I think many of us would want out of these figures. Again, they're fine, good figures, but they're just like that one notch below where they really should be at these price points with no Lego Star Wars CMF ever. Like, little things like that. Next up, we have Darth Dev. I'm not sure what reference Dev is, if it's a reference at all. I have no idea who he is or where he hails from, but Darth Dev. And at first, when I looked at the leaked images the other day, I thought it was Dark Side Rey, and I was like, that looks nothing like Rey. That's a terrible figure. And then I realized it said Dev, but like it was cut off, so it looked like it said Rey. You can see how that could happen. Next, a really highlight figure here is going to be Darth Jar Jar. Looks like he has some type of hologram, but I don't think it's printed, if I remember from some of the higher quality images that I saw. He does have a Darth Maul-esque lightsaber, which is something that we weren't able to figure out from the trailer. I think it only opens the top blade, but in the actual set here, he's got both, which is really cool. And I think the biggest downside on this figure to me is, no printed legs is kind of whatever to me on this figure. I don't think it was, make or break, but I do think not having the evil Sith eyes that we see in the trailer, I mean, that would have been so cool on this Jar Jar figure. So again, good figure, Darth Jar Jar, very nice. but, you know, nothing extra in the face, I feel like. And then finally, Dark Side Ray, or Darth Ray here. And they used the lightsaber piece, the hilt piece that I think many customizers used for a long time over the last 5 or so years. And much like the Darth Maul figure that we saw earlier in the year, I think this figure is awesome except for the pupils. I think the pupil design on this figure just doesn't look that good, and not having pupils, you know, in the middle there makes it look quite a bit awkward. So overall, I think the figures are good, just not great in this set. I think a lot of people will think they're great that maybe don't, you know, hold it to the same standard that I do, and that's fine. But I think I went through and kind of explained like the little things like printing on Luke's blue milk and printing on Darth Vader's eyes, and C-3PO having a dual molded leg, or, you know, Darth Jar Jar having dark side Sith eyes, like the, you know, little things that would make these figures extra great, and instead of just good. But I think overall the figures are good. It's a really interesting selection of characters in this set, and from what I remember in the early rumors, I think this is definitely about as good as it could have gone. So the Dark Falcon figures are amazing, and so is the Dark Falcon. It's a black Millennium Falcon with some red accents, a little bit of gray in there too, and this thing just looks amazing. One of the highlights here, I think, has to be the Death Star laser coming out of the Millennium Falcon dish. That just has to be one of the all-time coolest little details in a random Lego Star Wars set like this. Like, it's just really neat. I don't know if I'd classify it as an Easter egg, but nonetheless, having the Death Star laser dish is very cool. The back of the box, while a bit blurry, we can kind of get an idea of some of the features. And the back of the Falcon also does look very good here with the red thrust instead of the blue thrust pieces that I think they used on the old one. You can see Luke having spilt his milk with Darth Ray attacking him. That's pretty cool. So, you know, some nice action going on the back of the box. And overall, it just looks like this set is going to have a lot of fun play features, just like any other play set Millennium Falcon over the past, I don't know, decade and a half that we have had. They've generally done a very good job with these. And I'm most curious to figure out where the extra 200 pieces came from on this model compared to the old one. I just do not see an extra 200 pieces, because the designs seem to be almost exactly the same, like the same panel design, same little details on top, outside of maybe the Death Star, you know, turret thing. But like, where are there an extra 200 pieces on this Millennium Falcon? That is yet to be seen. Anyway, those are my initial impressions on the Droid Factory set and the couple of Rebuild the Galaxy sets. I think obviously the best of the three's got to be the Dark Falcon here. I'm the most excited for it by far. The TIE and X-Wing just don't do much for me. The Droid Factory builder maybe could be better. Depends on what the rest of the set entails, because what we see in that one image, again, just isn't everything. So we'll have to wait and see. So if you guys enjoyed, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my reviews of these sets as soon as they come out and I get them in hand. And let me know what you think about these sets and their figures in the comment section below. See ya!